Welcome to Higher Frequencies.
Where do you go every time you leave? Why do you always gotta go somewhere away from me? I keep wondering if someday you'll just keep holding on. And like a fool, I just keep waiting till the early comes.
If you could find your way back home again, I hope you can find your way into my arms again.
Howdy, folks. We're back. Back to where I should be in my natural habitat. Now that we're allowed in the fucking woods again. Well, in Halifax. That is something I'm going to talk about. I'm going to go a little off script. And this is just, this is just one for me. And, it's got, this story is getting too long. But there's a lot more to go. And we're actually just at the really interesting part. But, it's funny. And I've been having some epiphanies the last week. And there's a lot going on for me this week. But one of the things that I realized, and like the last episode, it was like, there was technical issues. My phone ran out of juice, and then the thing didn't want to upload, and I thought I was gonna have to do it again. But I'm like, something's telling me not to post this one. I didn't know. I thought it was really good. I thought it was like, oh man, I finally got through that one because that was a hard one for me to talk about. But I realized now it was like I was holding back, and I wasn't, I was being authentic as I could at the time. But again, it's so wild with all of these, the changes that are going on right now. It's like, you know, the only thing that is constant is change. And as my awareness changes, my maturity changes, as my, relationship with everything and learning how to do this thing, and learning how to find my voice. Uh, you know, but I am surrendering to the fact that it's just like I'm just learning this as I go, and this is just an experience and a fucking really valuable lesson and a great way to somatically try to let go of perfectionism. Because believe me, there's like, you know, uh, yeah, I feel like I have a special story here, and I'm not giving it justice in all of these things, but I just need to sit down, record, and say what the hell's on my mind from now forward and try to do it as authentically as I can without tiptoeing around the thing or worried about hurting someone's fucking feelings. And, case in point, we had this ban in the woods with the fires in Nova Scotia. And, I get it. I get the thing, and you look at Newfoundland, what was going on there, and all this stuff. Um, but at the same time, I think it's the dumbest thing and the most idiotic thing. I got another word for it too, but I'm gonna, I actually want to try not to. Yeah, anyways, I'm trying to find grace as well in all of this stuff and restraint, which is, two of my Gene Keys gifts. Graciousness, I should say. So there is that little mobilizing act, but um, yeah, I get it. We don't want people's houses to burn down. We don't want to put the firefighters in danger. We don't want to do all this stuff. But if I've learned anything on this crazy journey that I've been on, is that we don't make decisions out of fear. And we don't treat our citizens like children who are too stupid to walk in the fucking woods without burning them down. Of course, no fires. And yeah, like maybe that like the 18 I don't know what's causing some of these fires, and there were still fires, but all I know is that being out in nature is one of the most healing, beneficial, spiritual practices for our mental health, our physical health, our body, mind, and energy. And to say that that is off limits to me is just it's going a little too far. Because what's next, right? And again, it gets me back to this thing of, have we not learned anything from the virus when it's so I didn't want to talk about this because I also don't want to be, I don't want to, give that thing energy, whatever that means. I don't want to start you know, an argument or get onto the divisive side of things because I get it when people want to say, well, it's better safe and sorry, and that's fine too. I get that, and like, trusting that the government, like, but no, trusting that the government's doing for is what for is best in our interest. These motherfuckers are spraying glyphosate or whatever the hell this chemical is in said forests. They're trying to get uranium mining back, and to so it's like the more out of tune we get out, more out of tune that we become with nature, the more craziness, the more chaos, the more out of balance we become. And I'm just very grateful to be able to be sitting here in my town and be able to go for a nice, beautiful walk in the woods today. That's all. And I just think that we have to be careful on what we allow ourselves as citizens who pay tax on tax on tax on tax to be put in place and to listen to them. We see everything that's happening in the world today. And at the same time, I almost kind of know it's a comical thing. Like this, whatever this thing is going to be part of my story too. There's a lot of really good jokes in this thing, and it's the government again overstepping their control in order to propel this change of consciousness that we say, where we get to a point we say enough's enough. It's not about overthrowing the government. And I mean, you look at what's happening in Nepal, right? That's what's coming. Not that I think it should be done that way. I think it should be just saying, okay, that's nice, but we're not going to play by your rules any longer. I've been slowly pulling myself out of this system, and I guess this is the stuff that I want to get to talk to, want to start talking more and more about, is really, this, what I'm going to call, what the gene keys and, the Mayan calendar and like the Vedas and all of these things talk about is the great change. We're going through a change in consciousness. And things are going to get weird. Things are going to get wild. Things are going to continue to show us what the truth actually is. And it's going to be more absurd than people can actually even fathom. That's the thing. This whole government thing, which is like, man, most of the people in the government, I don't even think have an idea of how crazy this thing is. Because again, there's no like us and them with this. Like, I'm not even talking about that thing. It's just the fact that, there is no democracy in the political systems. Like, I don't play with that anymore. That's what I'm talking about, walking away. Is just like not, giving into the facade of us having a choice. It doesn't matter if it's blue, red or brown, whatever, green. It's gonna be, these systems of education, healthcare, policing, pretty much all of it just ain't gonna work anymore. and there's no rebuilding. We're gonna have to do what we can. And how what I'm really interested in, or what I would like to contemplate and talk about and build a community on, and to try to see, because what can consciousness can come to a consensus with, because the only reason why we play in this thing, and the only reason why we agree to do the taxes, is because as a consensus consciousness, we agreed to, we're doing this thing. So yeah, I want to talk about how do we get there, what's the bridge, and I got a lot of interesting ideas. And there's going to be an in-between period where, holy shit, those who don't know how to survive without mommy and daddy government are gonna not gonna have a good time. And those of us who have been working on, our own inner authority and creating our reality based upon those things and those ideas and those values and those virtues, you know, I, I'm not excited for the chaos and the suffering that's gonna come out of this. But I am also fully aware that we are divine beings that live forever, that cannot die, that fuck around in this earth forever. So I'm finally kind of realizing why, you're just gonna come back in again. So it's how's that for graciousness with death, right? Really have some respect for some people that pass. And I know the hurt and everything, and I can't imagine. I've been very blessed on that side of the spectrum. But our loved ones can stay with us forever in our heart, and we will reconnect with them in the other side. And this is just a moment in time, a little snippet this life, but it's going to be a powerful one. It's going to be a transformative one. It's going to be one where the world takes a huge fucking turn. And so me, it's not a matter of how, when, or what, or when, or it's more so, yeah, how. How is that going to happen? And what are some ideas to get us there? We're gonna discover that energy is free, and we can actually get it out of the goddamn ether. And that there's been a lot of these things that have come up in the last 100 years, but the people who invent them mysteriously get murdered. How shocking! But the truth, we're at that point where the truth can no longer. It can't be hidden under this, these little lies of divide and conquer, of like, you know, we just know now. Our bullshit detector is humming. It's coming online. Where it's just like, that's just a load of shit. I mean, it's one of these things. Is I'm learning how the energy works and how the body works, and more of these like energy centers and stuff. It's like I used to be the science guy. I used to be like, oh, that's a nice idea. Prove it. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm at the point where, again, I'm not on here to. I don't want to create arguments stuff. Lots of discussions where we can openly and honestly, like, and respectfully, talk about some of these topics and where we might be going and heading, and what the hell is happening, and what is going on in this reality, and what the true nature of reality is. But I'm not trying to argue or create a debate with anybody. I have my beliefs and ideas and stuff, and they're constantly changing as well. I will never be closed minded and say, this is how it works. I don't want to hear any, like, it's the people that are so fucking sure of themselves, that don't have a god, who can't be open minded, that I'm sorry, I'm just not interested in having a conversation with, because it's fucking pointless. So, this is a little bit of a rant and a ramble today, but because I've realized I have been, holding back on some of these things, and I want to, I don't know. And sure, hey, is it going to come off as arrogant? Am I going to look back in 6 months and be like, holy shit, that was fucking dumb. I don't believe that anymore. Sure, that's gonna happen all the time. But uh, I think what's more important for me right now is just to act from my heart and to act with how I'm feeling and what I'm doing right now at this moment and be unapologetically honest, you know. And I was gonna say with the disclaimer that yes, it could change tomorrow, but no fucking disclaimer. This is kind of what's coming out of me right now, and this is the experience of using the podcast as a tool to be able to find more layers of my true authentic self. All right, so yeah, man, fuck allowing the government to have any more form of control over us. You know, I'm at a moment of a huge chapter in my life is closing, and which is why I want to talk about some of these more just like what's going on, right now and thoughts, and we'll tune back into the story. But I'm done. I'm out. I'm tapping out, and I'm trying to kind of. And what do I mean? I sold my house. I'm like slowly kind of dropping away of trying not to do anything that doesn't align with me authentically. Um, trying to find out what I can do. You know, is if I'm part of this whole conscious collective, what I can do to actually add some value to these conversations. And for right now, it's just trying to be myself and trying to dive deeper into my creativity and just explore and to go into that. But yeah, lots of things are changing. And realizing too this, like, I'm finally ready. And I wouldn't say finally, I think I was there for a while, but it was coming from a place. It's going back to that like energy of like this loneliness or something. But I'm ready to date again. I'm ready to have that mirror. What an amazing way to learn more about your life is to have a romantic partner and to be able to learn and love and live with. And what you know a deep committed relationship looks like for me, and in knowing where some things might be going. I'd like to play with that, explore that, and learn more aspects of more layers of myself. But really, it's like this is the thing I've been thinking, and kind of like excited about, or like trying to embody, is just like to try to just romanticize life more, to bring romance into everything that I'm doing. And I've been single for so long now, and had some, yeah, just single for a while. And but I needed that. I needed the alone time, and I needed the space to be able to do the inner work that I needed to do to connect with myself and get through these last layers, never ending layers of discovering who I am. And so part of that was to well, if I can't date anyone, and like I trust reality, like, because I know it's like when there's just nothing kind of happening in that romantic sense, I just trust. I'm like, okay, it's not time, it's whatever. And I'm also, diving into more of like what's Wu Wei, which is like the art of non-doing, which is not just trying to strive and let go of controlling and forcing and manipulating life into what you want to get. It doesn't fucking work. It just creates entropy and all of this internal chaos, and more problems come to the surface, which is, I'm slowly learning too. But it's, you know, so to romanticize life. And I kind of started doing this with, being alone for a while. It's like, well, fuck, I'm going to date myself. And it's like, I don't know. Which again, part of this healing journey is learning to love yourself unapologetically. Where it's just like, you know what, I'm done being hard on myself. Yes, I'm constantly striving and working on myself and trying to improve and being the best version of myself. But there's no more fucking fixing. There's no more fighting. And there's no more sitting in shame and fucking guilt of doing the best that I goddamn can do. And if I ever finally finish this fucking story, this book, I might be able to like give myself a little bit of rest and grace and understand how full circle I have come and understand that it's been a non-stop, consistent, work on myself and that I should be, happy with I should love the fuck out of myself for doing that for myself and for my family and for my friends and for the whole collective because as I work on expanding my consciousness and accessing more areas of these things, it allows the doorways to open for other people too. We're all connected. It deepens the mycelium network to, again, one enlightened being, I think allows for hundreds of thousands of people to open the gateway to awakening, to their like spiritual awakening, to their next step on the consciousness ladder. So yeah, I would do once a month. I'd be like, I'm having a date day today. No fucking work, no whatever. I'm taking myself on a date. And it would be like just whatever, like go to a random coffee shop and get, a matcha latte, something different, unique. Go for a long walk on, somewhere random, go to vintage shops, do cute little things that like I might want to take like a romantic partner and just make a fun day out of it. Have a fucking couple beers on like with a nice new brew pub and just, come home and fucking rub one at now. uh there's a middle way with that thing too. But it's just to romanticize life, to slow down and to take the time to like do the fun little things because it's not all it's like, I've been a workaholic and the work that I've done these last couple years have been the hardest, most challenging work that I've done from and but I could probably see from the outside looking in, he's like, oh, he just doesn't want to work anymore. He just wants to travel the world and have all these fun adventures, like diving into all the parts of myself that I don't like and don't want to deal with to reveal the hidden treasures that are in there. I'm still trying to still, you know, massaging lots of those things and falling down the spiral ladder and going into the dark areas and the crevices. So I want to be romantic with life and, you know, as much as I possibly can. But to do it with an actual woman would be nice now. So I'm not, this isn't a fucking, I feel like it's a dating ad now. But again, no forcing, no fighting. Um, just maybe allowing myself to be a little more outgoing with that and a little more non-judging of like what that means. So that'll be fun. And I'm still going to take myself on dates. I'm due for one. But it's really fun. You should try it if you're single. It's cool. But yeah, to incorporate more of that in life, how can I make love to the dishes, I love this, saw this when a friend posted this thing about like what was it? If we're not like picking berries and like, it's like the smelling the flowers. It's the stopping to like understand how this is why I had to get out and record in the woods today. I tried it at home and it didn't work and it was rambling on a bunch of bullshit and I was like just walking out here, just being like, man, it's a fall, beautiful fall day. I'm allowed to walk outside in nature again. Can you believe it? And man, just to take it all in and to appreciate these little gifts that we get in life because it is the mundane too, as I step back into it's like, oh shit, I forgot for a moment that I am a divine being that and I'm able to do, I can create my own reality and I'm spend a lot of time and research and energy and money trying to figure out how that exactly works. I'm starting to get somewhere interesting, So and I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm all in into trying to how to make that work. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, at the end of the day, I don't need, I don't need anything because now I'm actually happy. You know, I'm writing a joke on this, but fuck it. It's like, it's so funny to think like 20 years ago, like, what was it, 30 years, whenever that Chris Farley skit was, right? Of like, the American dream of like the worst thing was like living in a van down by the river. How like pathetic that was. How, it's like fucking every Canadian's dream now, I think, with all the horse shit that we deal with in society. It's like, holy, if I could live in a van down by the river, have a little place to have a garden, fresh, clean fucking water that's not poisoned, you know? Maybe there's some berries around that I could go pick. Um, it's like shit. That's my dream now. So surely to God, at the end of this thing, at the end of this adventure, I'll have enough money left over to buy myself a van and live down by some random river. So I'll be, yeah. Fuck being safe. I am safe because I'm finding love, you know, finding peace and harmony and trust and faith in knowing that I'll be taken care of by the universe because I'm following my passion and doing whatever I can to nestle into this thing. And yeah, part of romancing. And so I'm in this really beautiful part where it's like, I'm also on these trails where it's like people are walking by here. It's funny. Just looking at, we're gonna have some odd noises like some dogs and stuff, but where it's finally, yeah, I'm done of like, it's the realization of like any kind of bad feeling, any of this stuff, it's all created by ourselves, right? And to be able to let go of that, and to be able to be like, I'm not gonna fucking judge myself anymore. I will, fuck, I don't even want to say criticize, but I will be aware. I will be aware. This fucking dog. I might have to take a pause here and re-record because this is just bugging the hell out of me. Let's take a pause for a moment here. Luckily, I'm learning how to edit. I don't know. All right. Hopefully, this is it for the dog. But yeah, to stop judging myself, but to still have the awareness and still like to even tap into that even more. So I'm still catching myself when it's like, oh, that's a little immature version of myself, or that's still some shadowy material coming up in all of this stuff. But to like, not to be like, oh, you're doing that again, you fucking idiot. It's like, that's not going to help you very much. And it just, that ripples out too, is like that, beating yourself down ripples out into consciousness. But is to chuckle about it and to give yourself a little hug and be like, oh, all right, well, let's pivot. Let's pivot and move off in a different direction and whatever that needs to be. So, yeah, I'm going to try to tap into this, whatever version of myself I'm dealing with at this day, and to say whatever the fuck I want to say on camera and to allow that authenticity to come through and to allow myself to learn and grow as I go. And that's all I can do. And that's it. And that's it. So I don't know, man. I like I think there was a couple other things that like I want was going to talk about or bring up, but can't really remember. But that dog's barking again, and I think maybe this is just a short little episode for me to kind of break this slump and not this slump, this like I don't know what it is because at the end of the day, I'm still like I'm dying to like there's like I want to create, I want to write the book, I want to play, I want to go adventure, and but I don't want to force it, and I don't want to create more entropy. But so I'm gonna play with it a little bit as much as I can, and just continue try to have fun with it, and hopefully provide something of value in these little videos. And I think I just need to get that woods thing off my back. I don't even know if I added value to any of that other than I will take it as a gift in that it's everything's lessons and everything happens for a reason. So for whatever it is, thank you government for acting out of fear and making Nova Scotia world renowned for being weird as fuck on the control mechanisms that we're putting in place. But I'm sure that I'll end up being a gift somehow. So, and I hope everyone else is just enjoying the last of their summer and diving into this thing. And, anyways, I'll be back hopefully soon and continue on with the story. But I just had to come on here and riff for a little bit. So thanks for listening to me, crew. Adios. Ciao.